Hello, my friends. So a few weeks back, I did a setup video, the one we're watching right here, on this truly beautiful Solar S1.6 PB 27-inch baritone in poplar burst matte. It's got an incredible finish. But when I did that initial setup video, again, the same one we're watching right here, you may have noticed, if you watched it, that I don't talk throughout the entire video. And I think it's like 45 minutes long or something. So I don't say anything. And that was completely intentional. I've done many setups here on the channel, and I talk through them all, describing my process throughout the whole time. And, you know, I just wanted to do something different. I figured, hey, for the people who are interested in just watching, almost like an ASMR type thing, you know, you could just watch, and I'm gonna hold my thoughts. And I even thought afterwards, maybe I'd go back and do what I'm doing right now and do some commentary to it. But in the end, I just decided not to. Just rolled the dice and put it out like this, and that was certainly met with mixed reviews. Some guys said it was a cool concept and they didn't mind it, but most of the guys said, I would like to hear what you're doing. So right here, I'm gonna cut it for a second, say right here, I'm loosening the locking tuners. I just loosened up all the tuning pegs, and just enough to where the strings are loose enough to cut like this without snapping up in my face. If they were still at full tension, you know, I don't know. I just like to loosen them up first. And then I undid the locking tuners. This is a heavier gauge, so you notice I'm having a little trouble pulling them out of some of the tuners there with these thicker strings. But I'm gonna get those out. What was I gonna say? What I was gonna say is that I totally get that people wanna hear about the process, because there is a ton going on in this video. It's a full setup, restringing, evertune, intonation, string height and action and all that. Right here, I'm checking the tuners. So, and lots of odds and ends too, all those main things, but lots of little odds and ends like this that people don't usually think about in the setup workflow. Here, I'm seeing that I like the tuners tension on their own, that they turn the way I want them to. They're not too loose or too tight. I'm also turning all the eye holes so they're facing me, which is a tip I recommend, and just kind of like a personal trick that I do every time I'm restringing. Before I start the restringing process, I'll put the eye holes of the tuners facing me so that when I go to put the strings up there, they're already facing the right direction. It's easier to feed the string through the tuning peg. I don't have to like sit there and turn it. I mean, that's not a huge deal or whatever, but so here we're removing the strings. So again, this is an evertune bridge, but still it's a string through body design, like a Tune-O-Matic or lots of just strap bridges and stuff are through body here. We're gonna first clean it up with the Music Nomad 1 polish. This is a great polish. All the Music Nomad stuff is amazing. I'm gonna talk about a few of their different products that I'm gonna use throughout this video. But this is the exact process that I do every single time that I'm setting up a guitar. Definitely, if I take off all the strings like this, I'm gonna give it a thorough deep cleaning. Sometimes I'll do a string change where I'm just going string by string. Like if it's a guitar I change the strings on often, I'll just go string by string, and maybe once a month or something, I'll take off all the strings and get into all the nooks and crannies just like this. You're gonna see how I'm gonna even clean the fretboard and stuff. I don't go into like oiling it or anything like that. I just use guitar polish, I always do. I don't think I've ever oiled a fretboard, but I did get some fretboard oil from Music Nomad, so I'm interested to just try that out, and maybe I'm gonna become an advocate for that, but usually I just do it like this. This is Jason Hagar's guitar, original guitarist of my band Chimera. Now he's playing with Spineshank, but when he dropped it off to me, I didn't know what I was getting into. All he said is that he had a pack of strings that he gave me. You could see him, those slinky mammoths right there. I think it's 12 through 62. We'll definitely check that out in a minute. Again, I did this a few weeks ago, so I can't remember exactly all that happened. So this is kind of interesting for me too, just to walk through it and see everything that's going on. But yeah, I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know what it was tuned to when he gave it to me, which kind of became a problem later, because when I started to set up the evertune, it would have just been so much easier had I known what the guitar was in beforehand. For instance, he wanted it in drop A sharp. So let's just say that the guitar was in drop A. Then I would have known that I'm going to have to sharpen all the evertune tuners up, but I didn't know what was in, so I kind of had to guess as I was going. And you'll see that I don't want to say struggle with that for a minute, but it's a bit of a pain when I first started putting on. Here's another little tip: tightening the little nuts on top of the tuners. These go loose on people's guitars all the time, and I've always used this tool right here, which is a problem right here. I think I slip, and I chipped away a little of the paint. So especially if it's black. So, and then afterwards I was doing this, I thought to myself, I have this Music Nomad kit, part of their Keep It Simple kit here, and it's got this awesome tool in it that has different hex sizes, for tuners, right here I'm tightening the tuner. So if your tuners feel too loose, there's a little screw on the end and you just tighten that. You got to actually hold the tuner and tighten the little screw in the end there, or loosen it if it's too tight. So again, this is part of the setup process that a lot of people don't think about or overlook, but I figure if I got all the strings off and I'm doing everything, I'm gonna do it upright. I'm gonna make sure all the hardware that can just come loose over time, lots of vibration in the guitar, string changes, things like that, just, components wiggle themselves loose sometimes, So I always like to get the guitar super cleaned up beforehand, just because you can, like I said, with all the strings off and everything. I love this part, just getting the neck all polished up. Plus, this is somebody else's guitar. You don't know what was on their hands. But yeah, so I take this opportunity to get it all nice and clean. I hate that he still has that sticker on there over the electronics cavity. Maybe I take that off for him later, I can't remember, but that always bothers me when that's left on. Although, it does have the model number on there, which is helpful. Oh, and by the way, if you want to see me riff out and talk about this guitar in full detail, you can watch this video that I'm going to link for you here. I'm going to make a note of that demo vid. How far in are we? Around 7.5 minutes. Somewhere like that. I gotta remember to put that up there later for you. Right now I'm just watching the video like you are and just recording to it, and I'm gonna put this commentary in over it and just re-render the video with the new commentary. But anyways, yeah, this thing is super cool. It's got for like the output jack. Oh, here, so we're using Mammoth Slinkies. Yeah, 12 through 62. These are nickel wound. Fine, they seem cool. Always dug Slinkies. So your output jack, tuners, anything like with a hex, your volume and tone knobs. If you pull the knob off, the actual pots themselves. So this is a great tool that I just forget that I have when I was doing those tuners up there with just a regular old wrench. So, but anyways, the Music Nomad stuff is cool. This kit comes with all sorts of stuff. This is a great, awesome tool for all sorts of stuff. All right, so here we go. I always start with the lowest string. Bed through the back there. There's nothing we need to really think about so much with the Evertune yet, but we'll get into all that, especially for those who are interested in how to do the Evertune. See how I already have the eye hole facing me? So it's just right in just like that. And you'll notice that all the tuners are like that. So there, I'm just loosening up the locking mechanism a little bit to get that through. Making sure I'm seated in the nut properly. Tighten that down. I'll give the string a bend up to keep it out of the way. So I'm bringing up a tuner here, and I know I need to go to drop A. A sharp, F, A sharp, D sharp, G, C, low to high. But again, I don't know what I was at before because the Evertune is set to a certain tuning right now. So once I get into zone 2, and I'll explain a lot more about the zones with an Evertune bridge, or zone 1, 2, and 3. But even if you're not working with an Evertune, so many of the things that I'm going to demonstrate and talk about in this video can apply to all setups. This one just happens to be an Evertune equipped guitar. And so if you don't have an Evertune, you may not care about that, but still lots of things here. So right here, I am trying to get the tuning to an A sharp, again, without knowing what the set point originally was. So that's going to take me a little bit to figure that out. And once I figure that out, then the rest of the guitar is going to go a lot smoother. I'm a huge advocate for stretching the strings. A lot of people say, You don't need to stretch the strings if it's an evertune. And while that may be true, it's just a force of habit. And I think, how can it help? Why not give the evertune the best chance to be as in tune as possible all the time? The string is going to stretch no matter what from its point when you first installed it. It's just physics. It's going to stretch out a little bit. So if I pre-stretch it, I feel like I'm doing the evertune a favor and giving it the best chance. Also, this tuner you see up in the left-hand corner here sucks. I'm personally looking at my Boss TU2 or TU3, whatever that is, sitting there on my bench, which is my favorite tuner. It's fantastic, very quick and very accurate. The one that I'm gonna be showing on screen here, because I wanted for the viewers to be able to see the tuning in real time as I was doing it. And without setting another camera over top of my Boss there or something like that, which is just, in my opinion, would have been a wasted angle. I mean, it would have been cool, but probably like a 5 gigabyte video just of that. So what I did is I'm running a line out, see, from my tuner there into Pro Tools, and I have a tuner set up in Pro Tools. And that particular tuner that's just like free with Pro Tools, I think sucks. It's slow, quite unresponsive. The accuracy, I mean, it's just night and day, far worse than the Boss tuner, and I hate it. And it also, there's a delay from the time it takes the guitar to get through my Boss into my rack system over here, which feeds Pro Tools. There's 80 conversions going on and DA conversions, and then, you know, and then the camera recording the screen, everything. There's like a delay. Okay, so here, you just heard the Metal Gear Solid thing there. Here I'm noticing that the guitar is fretting out big time. Total dead strings. Listen to that. So right now, I'm facing a dilemma. The only thing that Jason told me when he dropped this guitar off is I want this in drop A. Here are the strings I want to use. I don't know what gauges were on there before. And he wanted the neck straightened. So I'm looking at the neck right now, and I remember before I even started all this, I looked at the neck and thought to myself that it looked fairly straight. I thought, I don't think I would make an adjustment to this, but hey, he wanted it straightened. So what's straightening it going to do? It's going to only make the strings fretting out worse, because straightening the neck is moving the fretboard closer to the strings, which is going to cause more fret stuff. But before I go in and make any big adjustments, I want to get some more strings out on here on the guitar, so the guitar is at the tension it's going to be at before I go ahead and make truss rod adjustments or any string height adjustments or anything. But at this point, I'm thinking to myself, see, I'm bending the neck up. I bend the headstock up just so it isn't fretting out, so I can get a tuner reading. With it fretting out so bad, I couldn't even get a tuner reading. And again, at this point, I don't know what the set point of the evertune was. So this is where I'm struggling, and it starts to go a lot faster once everything starts to make sense to me here. But I'm trying to find what the set point of the evertune was, how I can get to drop A, and how I can hear it, because when it's fretting out, the tuner won't pick it up. So that's why I was lifting up right there, I'm lifting up with my left hand the headstock, bending the neck a little bit, which will raise the strings off the fretboard just a little bit, just so I can get somewhat of a reading of the tuner. I think I'm starting to figure it out here. And now that there's a little more tension on there because of the 5th string, it isn't fretting out as bad. And maybe the fact that it's closer to its tune. So as I get all the strings on there, the tension of the entire neck and the distance of the strings, or distance between the strings and the fretboard, is going to be slightly different than it is now. So I want to make sure I get all the strings on there fairly tuned up. Then I'm going to start to make a truss rod adjustment, which I know is going to be in the direction opposite of what's necessary. So I'm already beginning to think at this point, all right, I know when I straighten the neck, it's going to make the fret buzz worse. So from that point, I'm going to have to make action adjustments from the bridge. I'm going to have to raise all the strings from the bridge to be able to straighten this neck for what Jason wanted. He wanted a lower action. So to do it the truss rod way, I would just get more fret buzz. So I know at this point, I'm going to have to raise the strings from the bridge, which we'll get into when that time comes. All right, so here I'm starting to figure it out. And I'll just note one more time that I was disappointed with the readout of the tuner you're seeing up here. It jumps all over the place. It barely ever can register the low A sharp. You'll see a lot of time I hit it, it comes up as something else. I forget what at this point, maybe it's like an F or something like that. But I know because I'm looking at my boss what's going on here. So here I'm tuning the evertune from its tuning port, and what I want to do is get it close, and then there are 3 zones to the evertune. You want it to be, if it's in zone 2, that means it's always going to be in the tuning that you set it up to, no matter if you bend the string or do anything. The evertune is going to compensate and keep it in. Right now we're looking for A sharp. So once I figure out A sharp and I get into zone 2, where moving the tuning knob no longer affects the pitch, I know I'm in zone 2. And then I'll go back and try to tune again. And it's constantly going back and forth between finding your tuning down at the bridge and then adjusting your tuner back into zone 2. The absolute perfect middle of zone 2 would be where you could turn the tuning knob of that particular string in either direction at least a couple times, and there's going to be no pitch variance. Then you know you're in zone 2, and as long as you're in tune from the bridge tuning access point, or the bridge tuner, then you're going to be good. From there, I want to get it up as close to zone 3 as possible. So if I continue to tighten the tuning knob of that string, I'm going to get closer to zone 3, and eventually I'll start hearing the pitch rise. Then I know I'm in zone 3 and I need to back off just a tiny bit, so I'm back at the top end of zone 2. That's going to provide me with the most vibrato. Remember I said in the middle of zone 2, there's no pitch variation in the string. You could bend it from here to Kalamazoo, and it's not going to change its pitch. That's its function. It's supposed to mechanically compensate for any pitch variation that you apply to the string from the bridge. So when you get it up to zone 3, where you can increase the pitch, once you hit zone 3, you'll start to hear the pitch rise. Then you back off a little bit, so you're back into zone 2, and then I'll be able to have a little vibrato. The further away from zone 3 I get, the less vibrato I'll get. If I drop into zone 1, then that's like the danger zone or something. I don't even know what happens then. Probably no vibrato, and it'll start lowering the pitch of your tuning, overall tuning. So again here, just trying to get as close to tune as possible. Once I feel like I'm close, then I start, bad string buzz, hear that? Then I start getting my zone set up, and I'm gonna go back and forth. Get into zone 2. Now I'm gonna tune again. C-still could be misleading. What the tuner's showing right now, after I made that big tuning change there with at the bridge, I may think I'm good, but then it may have taken me out of the zone where I want to be in the zone. So I need to reestablish zone 2, check my tuning. If that's good, then I'm going to move it up to zone 3, get as close to that as possible. And I'll go way more into that after all the strings are on and I'm pretty into tune. Then I'm gonna fine tune getting in as close to zone 3 as possible. Right now I'm probably getting a general. The tuning is good. I'm close to zone 3, good. Then after everything's on, I'll move into fine tuning to make sure that every string is perfectly in tune and I'm getting the most vibrato as possible. Vibrato is very important to me. To other guys, I realize it isn't. If you don't care about vibrato, then, which is being able to vary the pitch with your left hand through the strings. Some guys don't care about that. You just want pure crystal clear tuning all the time and not worried about being able to pitch bend the strings at all. Then you want to be in the middle of zone 2 with the evertune. I don't know if you caught there with my thumb. I always stretch out the strings at the headstock past the nut too. So, if you're sitting there and you're stretching the strings across the fretboard and to the bridge, there's still a spot above the nut. So I'll push those down with my thumb a little bit just to give it a little extra stretch as much as possible. Notice on this guitar, the strap buttons are gone.
He must have had like a DiMarzio clip lock on there that he took off and never put the strap buttons on, but I hooked him up. I had tons of extras and I popped a set on before I made the demo video, which again, you should check out. It'll be linked in the description. There was a card, I'm sure, up at the top. Maybe there'll even be a thing at the end of this video for it, showing you the way. But in the demo video, I put the strap buttons back on so it looks clean and killer. And jam a little song, talk about all the specs of this guitar. So we're looking pretty good. See, I went into zone 3, then backed off a little bit. Getting up into zone 3, backing off. So we're a little flat there. Clockwise sharpens, counterclockwise flattens. Looking good with the D sharp. Did you hear our pitch go up into zone 3 there? Then I back it back off. Looking good. Final string. I love locking tuners. Not that it's a big deal to do the wraps, but it's just so much nicer, easier. See how they're all bent up? All the strings there? I do that so they're not flopping around while I'm doing this step right here. Imagine if they were all just still horizontal, all of them would be in my way. And I never cut them off until the very end, until I'm certain that everything's cool. I know we've all experienced it, a string pops or breaks or something. You can oftentimes salvage the string even if it breaks, if you've left yourself enough room to start again with it. But if you cut it off too early, you're kind of screwed if anything happens. You just have to replace it. So I'm guessing that this guitar was in drop A before, because I'm seeing that I eventually realized that I have to sharpen each string. But the tuners on the bridge of the Evertuner, I don't know if, I was gonna say quite sensitive, but maybe the opposite of that. Like it takes a lot to get a tuning adjustment. It isn't like tuning from the tuners on the headstock where you notice something right away, like with a regular guitar. With the Evertune, even to go a half step, it's like many, many turns of this thing. So, yeah, what would you say? It's sensitive or unsensitive? I don't know. But just know that you may not see something happening because it's gonna take quite a few turns. All right, we're good there. So now I'm gonna bend those back down and I cut them off pretty darn close to the tuner. I mean, real close. I don't want there to be nothing, because then you just poke yourself. I want it to be enough to where I can bend it down, which you'll see me do. See the length there? That's a good shot. I'm gonna bend them down and they're out of the way. They kind of cover the wrap and you have less of a chance of puncturing your fingers. But if they're too short, you can't really do anything. You just leave yourself a super sharp end. Now, this isn't the best method here that I'm gonna do, because you can slip and scratch your headstock, which I've done many times, but I'm being careful and I like to bend those down like that. And I'm like not only am I putting pressure down, but I'm lifting up pressure at the same time so that if I feel it slip, I don't jam into the headstock. So now I'm listening for all the fret buzz. So notice that now that I have the strings on, the fret buzz isn't as bad, which I said, because now there's a completely different tension placed across the entire neck. The entire guitar is under different tension than it was with just one string on there. So at full tension, the fret buzz isn't as bad, but I'm trying to decide how I want to tackle this right now because it's still there. So I'm going for the truss rod.
right now, my gut tells me to loosen the truss rod, and that would solve the fret buzz, but that would raise the strings off the fretboard more, highering the action, which is the opposite of what Jason wanted. He wanted a lower action, so I need to straighten the neck. So I'm knowing that right now, I'm gonna make the fret buzz worse. There's a little, the Nomad truss rod kit. This particular truss rod was difficult to turn. Like, I don't mean strength-wise, I mean like finding a good spot. A lot of them are like that, you know what I mean? Like, is it in there? Is it really in there? And then once you make a turn, it's like almost impossible to get the Allen wrench back out and stuff like that. This was one of those. Yeah, you hear that third string, it's gone crazy, but I'm thinking that I like the look of the neck. Trying to decide my course of action here. So I like to listen to various frets as well. I'll do that more coming up, but I'm listening for what I think is going to happen. Generally, if you're getting fret buzz north of the 12th fret, you want to solve that from the bridge. If you're getting fret buzz south of the, or west of the way I'm looking at it right now, west of the 12th fret or closer to the headstock, that can be solved with a truss rod adjustment. Oftentimes, like in this case, it's a balancing act between the two. And I typically don't like to mess with the action from the bridge so much because there's a certain radius to the strings. They're not all the exact same height. So what I had to do in this situation, yeah, right there, I'm in the slot of the evertune for string height adjustment. So I'm raising them right now, trying to get no buzz. I'm also gonna have to retune after this and then make further adjustments. Same thing. So if I raise the tuner, I'm lowering the pitch because there's less tension on the string. Raising, if I were lowered, I'd be pulling it back, increasing tension. So I'm gonna need to retune after I do this. You can tell that one's dead. First string. See, I'm getting really no pitch bend there. I'm no longer super close to zone 3. So, but it's all little fine things. You can't do one thing just at once and expect it to stay with this. It's a huge balancing act. So now I'm gonna get back in tune, and I'm gonna check again. You hear that? I got a little pitch bend vibrato there. A little bit. What I was gonna say with that radius, I just wanted to assume that it was set up with the proper radius from the factory and that Hagar or Jason hadn't made any adjustments. So what I did is that I wanted to make sure if I tuned or raised one of the saddles by a certain amount, I remembered that amount and did it the same for all the strings. So while I didn't have any scientific approach to it or know what it was at before, all the string heights, I just moved them the same amount incrementally each time. I didn't do like this side super high and this side super low. I just tried to keep it the same. I just thought that was gonna give me the best chance. And it ended up working out great. So now we're going back, making tuning adjustments. All the fretting problems have been far lessened. I may still tweak more. A little bit there we're hearing. You know what I just noticed? I'm wearing the exact same shirt right now. That wasn't intentional. That's just a couple weeks later. Hey, this is what was fresh in the laundry today, you know? Notice I'm really doing, now that we've gotten to this point, I'm doing this kind of stuff in the playing position. A lot of people say that. Shouldn't you tune, do intonation and stuff like that in the playing position, not flat on the bench? And the answer is yes, if you really, really want to get it there. But I always say it doesn't really matter, especially like with intonation. If you're actually taking the time and energy to go ahead and try to intonate your guitar, it's still going to be better than, if you do it in the flat position, it's still better than if you didn't do it. Will you get slightly better results in the playing position? Of course. I think it's more important for something like this with fret buzz, because you're gonna get a different type of buzz when the guitar is flat down because of gravity, magnetism of the pickups, all that kind of stuff. Very minor. I don't really think that's that huge an issue, but when I'm really trying to diagnose this, I wanted to do it in the playing position to make sure that the buzz was at an acceptance level I was comfortable with. Getting into zone 3. If you hear that, do it just till I hear the pitch come up and back off. I realized I didn't have my volume up there for you guys to hear and see the tuner. Again, I'm watching my boss tuner there, which is far more accurate. But you can see how much better it's behaving now because everything's nice and close. The one I have on screen there at the top. Okay, so it looks like we're getting into intonation here. I want the open string to be the exact same tuning as the 12th fret as I'm fretting it. And we do a method called chase the tuner. So you get the string as close to perfect tune as possible in the one just hitting it open, and the lower strings are the hardest. The 6th string is always the hardest to get perfect tuning on. So you just do it accordingly. Let's say it's coming up the slightest bit flat. Then just make your intonation, which, the 12th fret fretted, make it just slightly flat as well. You want to get them as close to possible. So let me see what's going on here. This one, see, that one's good. They're both the tiniest bit sharp, but I'm going to back it off a little bit. We're chasing the tuner. If the fretted 12th fret note is right of tune, then we're going to tighten the intonation adjustment point on the saddle. If it's left of center or left of perfectly in tune, the fretted note, then we're going to lower or loosen the intonation adjustment of that particular saddle. Check out my intonation videos. I have one for a fixed bridge and for a Floyd Rose bridge where I go over all of that in much greater detail. But here again, so in this case, I'm looking for this G. I want to get it perfect. Good. Now I'm going to hit the 12th. Good. That string is very well intonated. So that's sharp. So we're going to chase the tuner. I need to tighten that. Doing that also adjusts the pitch of the string. So after adjustment, I need to retune each time. See how I was saying it comes up as an F sometimes? I guess I was too close if you weren't paying attention. Excuse me. So we're good A sharp. All of these adjustments, while extremely minor, are also having an effect on your zone. So I'm gonna get this good, and then I'm gonna reset the zones. So get as close to zone 3 as possible for maximum vibrato. Oh man, I thought I was happy with that. I guess I wasn't. See how much that sharpened the string? So I need to detune it back down to A sharp. And the zone could have something to do with that too. Lots to think about with the evertune. But the good thing about the evertune, a lot of people that watch this video too are like, oh, shows me that I shouldn't get an evertune. That seems like it's crazy. But the thing is that once you get it set up nicely, and you got to check out my evertune videos too, where I go over all this stuff in complete detail, exactly how to do it. You watch me do it in great example all the time. I got a couple cool, or more than a couple cool evertune videos here, where it's specifically about the evertune. But once you get it set up, then it's maintenance free forever. Like, I mean, even after string changes, assuming you want to keep the same tuning, and you give yourself a better shot by using the same brand and gauges as well. But for the most part, if you have that saddle set up to be a C or an E or whatever, and then you change strings and put them on, it's still going to be a C or an E. There's no maintenance required after that. Perhaps every once in a while, the slightest bit of fine tuning, but for the most part, it's going to be there. So just getting it set up is the hardest part. But if you wrap your head around what's happening, it isn't really hard. It is intimidating at first. Once you figure out what's going on with it, where the adjustment points are and what you need to be doing, then it's not hard at all. And you'll get it. And then it's set up, is my point. All right, putting the truss rod cover back on. So I'm feeling, if I'm doing this right now, I'm feeling good about everything. I imagine after this, I'm gonna give it another tune, check my zones, give it some strums, another polish, and we'll be good to go. Here's one of Jason's spine shank picks. Oh, looks like I'm going out of order, I said, but yeah, you know what? It's nice to have it gleaming for the final tuning. I think a clean guitar plays better, feels better, and sounds better. Used to say that, me and my buddy George, you guys may have seen on the channel with me lots of times. We used to install car systems, you know, big subwoofers in our cars, and we do it for other guys back in the day. We were like, 16, 17, 18 years old and stuff. And we'd always say the system sounds better when your car is nicely detailed, when your car is super clean and feeling good. The radio, the stereo just sounds better. Music sounds better, you know. I think I'm happy with the neck there. I must be, or else I wouldn't have moved on. Here we go, checking the tuning. No, actually, let's check the fret buzz. Now I'm checking the tuning. And it's great. So the vibrato was there, but I felt like I could get some more. You hear that? Went up just till change pitch, then backed off. Doing so though, sometimes all this is just dialing it in just perfectly, you know? Here I'm just listening intently. And looks like we were successful. That was it. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate you. Tell me what you thought in the comments, you know? Cheers. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.